Everyone, and welcome back to the OBF1 Racing League. We are here for the Wednesday Night Racing League as always, and there's something a little bit differently. You're usually talked through by P, and well, you have the displeasure of myself, my Swanee Sweeney self, but yeah, nonetheless, we are here for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. So a very tough circuit when it comes to qualifying, and an even tougher one when it comes to the race. A very tight and twisty circuit with limited runoff and a gravel trap at any moment ready to swallow you up if you're not careful. So it's going to be a very big challenge for our boys tonight, but they usually step up to the occasion. We've got a couple of people who usually reserve racing, so we've got the likes of Mitch Racing and a couple of the big boys like Jim and Taylor also up there ready to give them a fight. So yeah, no Max to ruin the fun when it comes to qualifying like he does on a Friday, completely free of that. And on a Wednesday, we're just going to be chilling with only two big boys. So I'm going to get the stream into the Discord now because I'm a little bit late on getting the stream up. I was in regards to to getting the stream up. I just need to sort that out now. Where the hell do I put it? But we will get straight into a 17 or an 18-minute qualifying. Now down ticking towards the 17-minute mark. And now here it is. Just need to plonk it on. And if I do sound a little bit out of breath today, it's because school and PE was not very fun today. Well, it was fun, but it was just horrible. But we've got a couple of people going out now. We've got Paul and Denmark both on their sup car. Good luck. Good luck, mate. Hope you have a very entertaining race and you can enjoy watching it back via my stream. But we've got Denmark. No, we've got Paul Harrison out on a lap in the Haas car. Not a NASCAR. Two can be confused. Both American outlets, but two completely different things. And this is probably going to beat him in a race. But yeah, here's Paul Harrison on the medium tyre, the yellow marked medium tyre. If you don't know, you know you've got the softs, which are the fastest, but they do degrade a lot quicker. A medium, which is the nice medium, and then the hard, which obviously is going to go the distance, but it's going to be a little bit slower as it is a harder compound of rubber, harder to heat up, harder to change the shape of it. It's not as malleable as the softer rubber, so it doesn't withstand the lateral G's as much, so therefore you don't have as much tyre grip. But Paul Harrison looks to be the first to settle up, and on the hard a medium compound tyre I should say, he's going to be looking to go for a bank lap, find himself acclimatise to the circuit, get a nice lap in so that he can slowly build upon that as the race progresses, and then and we'll have to see what he can do. But coming through the final corner of what I believe to be turn 15, and all the way to the left hand side for turn 1. You want to be looking out for the 50-metre ball, brake just before it and carry all the speed through. Third gear, use the camber. It is slightly cambered and a little bit banked is turn 1. As you come through now down towards turn 3, chuck it in and then keep it to the left hand side coming into turn 4. Very banked corner, very easy to lose the rear end on the exit as it undulates so much, but if you can keep the throttle pinned you should be perfectly fine. Coming out of turn 4 then and into turn 5, 6 and 7, and then turn 8 is a very quick flick to the right. Very fast corner, nearly flat out, just a bit of a caution lift, and then towards turn 9 he goes purple to the first sector and then chuck it in, and then into turn 10 just got a third gear, keep it as close to that curb as you can, bring it all the way to the left hand side, bring it back to the right for turn 11, chuck it through, get as close to that inside curb as you possibly can, but don't touch it. You do not want to touch it, it will spin the car out as they are monstrous curbs here at Zandvoort. And we have got world-renowned commentator Lewis McGlade in the chat, so absolute pleasure to have him here. It's an absolute honour to have someone of such high accolades and accomplishments in his life joining the stream, so it is a very much big pleasure to have you. He has DRS open though. Let's see what Paul Harrison can do as he crosses the line. It's going to be a 1:11.2 to start us off on the medium tyre. Obviously provisional pole as it stands. SYG Ghost can't quite beat it, about 1.4 seconds off on the soft compound tyre, so not the best of laps from Ghost then. Something must have gotten in the way a little bit there, but JFC goes insanely quick on those soft tyres, a 1:09.8 to set us off, and goes into provisional fastest at the moment, but still got the big boys yet to set a lap. We've got H. Taylor on an out lap, we've got Jim yet to set a lap as well. He's now coming out onto his out lap, and Taylor on the soft, so it looks like some people are going for the straight up soft to hard strategy, which is usually going to be the quickest one around here. You want to be on the softs in qualifying, get in the track position. Of course, very difficult to overtake around such a track like Zandvoort, and you need to have the track position through qualifying, very similar to the likes of Monaco and Hungary and things like that, where it is very difficult to overtake. But here comes H. Taylor then, a very quick driver, and Denmark coming into second place. But H. Taylor through turn 1 then, he needs to just keep it clean, get a nice little lap in, get a nice clean banker lap in. You can see chucking it through turn 3, keeping it left for turn 4, goes a little bit deep, very easy to do, but as long as he can carry the speed, carry the minimum speed and not lose it on the exit, he should be perfectly fine. And then up the hill through these very flat out corners, flat out, even probably in the wet I would say. There's a very wide car of what is believed to be Ryan in the Mercedes, going wide at turn 9, and H. Taylor going purple to the first sector, so on a pretty good lap here, and looking to topple JFC Burrito when it comes to that provisional pole position, because JFC is 9/10 quicker than the nearest person as it stands. But Denmark and Paul Harrison both on the medium tyre, don't forget. Here is H. Taylor then, goes purple to the middle sector as well. This is looking like a pretty good lap for the man in the Red Bull, and a very quick and a very proven driver now as he heads towards turn 14 and into 15. Completely flat through the banking, almost at the same I believe degrees as the likes of Daytona, but across the line it's going to be a 109.3, and he takes provisional fastest by about 0.5 of a second. Very nice lap from H. Taylor. Denmark heading into the pits. Who else have we got set in a lap? We got now everyone up to Sanchez, who has set a lap. We got Mitch, who's gone straight into the back of the Ferrari. Big crash going into turn 1 there. No idea what's happened, but it looks as though was that Stay? No, it was Ash Fitz who's gotten into the way of Mitch there. No idea what's happened there at all. He was just stopped going in, and as Mitch was braking down towards turn 1, just smacked straight into the back of that rear diffuser and lost his tyre. So that's going to be him out of qualifying. And Ash Fitz actually put in a really good time, a 109.6 to put him into P2, and luckily he hasn't sustained any grid penalties for that one. But interesting to see that. You don't often see that, especially in qualifying. But yeah, very strange. He's going straight on at that one. No idea how he sustained front wing damage from a crash to the rear, but we move on. Jim goes even quicker though. He goes into the 109 dead. 109.0, very close to a 108, and he's still got a couple more runs to try and improve upon that lap time and get himself back into the 108s, because a 108 is going to be a very stonking lap time in these cars. If he can manage it though. Taylor's also going to want to respond to that. He's going to see that as a challenge. Of course, Jim very quick in Formula 2 machinery, and often does get the better of Taylor when it comes to Formula 2 machinery. So Taylor's going to want to be able to carry that momentum, ruin that momentum of Jim and the Formula 1 machinery, and try and top him around at Zandvoort, because he can't quite do it in Formula 2 cars just yet. Anyone else can lap time? We got Stay, who's also very quick in his own regard. He's on an outlap at the moment on the red mark soft compound tyre, and just needs to get those tyres warmed up really nicely. He's in the Alfa Romeo, another Ferrari. They're just about going to move out of the way on this one, so looks like at least one of the Ferraris knows what it's doing when it comes to moving out of the way nicely for people. Yeah, you can just see Stay getting himself around the circuit on a nice little outlap, nice and chill. Spot the circuit, see where the grip is, whatever you might want to do. Your interests are your own. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Nice to have you all. Make sure to do like, and I hope you enjoy the race. But we got to Stay then on his way towards the lap. He's got a couple more corners yet to go. Then he'll be setting up his first fine lap. He's got a racing point right behind him, looking to set it up towards turn 14 then, and then to 15, completely flat as always. See what he can do. Drag reduction system open, the rear wing flap, giving him that extra 20 kph of speed down this pit straight and towards turn 1. Just going to completely send it. Let's see what he can do into sector 1. Just needs to hook up the rest of it first. Do not want to touch many curbs here at Zandvoort. They're very tricky curbs to ride as he comes through turn 3. Keeps to the left for turn 4. Very easy to corner to lock up on, but you really need to carry the speed, carry the momentum with that banking, just as stated there. Very nicely taken from the Alfa Romeo driver as he heads up the hill. A bit too much steering input there. He shouldn't have done that. He should have turned a little bit earlier, but nonetheless he's coming through turn 8 now. Goes a little bit wide, but what's it going to be to the first sector? It is going to be purple to the first sector, depending on how accurate Codemasters wants to be, as he now comes towards turn 10. whips it all the way over to the left hand side, brings it back to the right to chuck it back in for turn 11, really opening it up nicely, does not touch that inside curb as you want to see, and DRS open for this little run down towards turn 11 and 13, the chicane. And he goes purple to the middle sector as well. Stay is on a pretty good lap there, but he messes up turn 13 a little bit. Has to bite it back and get a straighter exit. Still not going to cost him too much time though as he comes through the penultimate corner. Taylor now on his outlap for his second run. 9 minutes left of the session. We are now halfway through the qualifying session. DRS open then, and he's going to be looking to get his head down. Human DRS all the way up to the line. It's going to be a 109.5. So definitely up there with the big boys. Only a couple of tenths off Taylor. Well, actually a tenth and a little bit off Taylor. So a blink of an eye between the two. And of course Jim in a world of his own on a 109.0 and looking to improve upon that. Taylor also looking to improve upon that. Who else have we got setting a lap time? Paul Harrison still yet to set a time on the softs. He's now going for one. He's 3 tenths up on his PB going through sector 1. He's got a Renault right in front of him, a Pressing mixer, who hopefully won't be giving him too much turbulent air and dirty air. JFC Burrito actually gets up there. He's on a 109.4. So the man who was on a high 109 has found a buttload of time and finds himself sitting right up there with the guys and starting the second row. Very nice here. What was Paul Harrison going to do in the Haas? Needs to propel himself up a couple of positions. Very, very tight midfield, as you can see. Hatton all the way down to Paul Harrison, separated by only a couple of attempts. DRS open and across the line, climbing up the gears. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 110.3. That's going to propel him very far up the grid and up into P6 onto the third row. And a very, very good time there. Some decent points if he can carry it over, but Denmark just going to pip him there. Goes on to a 110.0. Not quite breaching the 109 barrier just yet as Pressing Mixer does retire. I believe that was on the exit of turn 4. Not entirely sure, but it looks as though to be that from the map. What's Taylor going to do? He's now coming through turn 11. We've got XD Little Jim now setting up his flying lap. Paul Harrison has retired, so whether that was a crash or something intentional, no idea what. But H. Taylor does go purple to the middle sector, 4 tenths up on his PB if I did see correctly. He is on a very good time, and Jim now starting his lap as well. Through the penultimate corner and into the banking, completely flat. Just run it as tight as you can, bring it back over to the right hand side. Shortest run to the line. Is it going to be a 108? Yes, it is. It's going to be a 108.8. 5 tenths up on his original lap time from H. Taylor. Incredible stuff. But what can Jim do? He's going to try and topple him. Taylor's just beating him to the provisional pole. Jim's definitely going to want to say something as he chucks it through turn 8 into 6th gear. Really keeping the car pinned. Very nicely done. He is a little bit down in sector 1. Hasn't quite hooked up as much as he'd have liked. He's still got 2 sectors left to go. But it's going to be difficult if he wants to keep it or improve at all. He might just be worth to back off, as I believe he is. Yeah, he looks to be backing off a little bit from his lap, saving his tyres and going to try and go again. Wimax as well looking to set a lap, but just going to be setting one up it seems, or has just set one. He's currently sits P8, so the two Renaults looking pretty good, pretty respectable for the race. We'll have to see what they can do. Usually definitely very quick guys are the two Renaults. What is Jim going to do as he crosses the line? Yeah, he's going to start one off now. Through turn 1, you know the drill, just got to keep it tight. Third gear, bring it over to turn 2. Turn 3, just a bit of a flick, keep it as tight as you can for turn 4. Very nicely done from Jim, really hooks that up well. Gets on the power really efficiently, nearly running out of fuel though, and hasn't got much ERS either. Clips the grass coming up through turn 5, 6 and 7, and then just got to chuck it through into 8. Bit of a dab on the brakes, down a couple of gears to get the car rotated with the engine braking. Through turn 9, a little bit up in his time, actually goes purple to the first sector once again, really turns in very early, very similar to Fernando Alonso in the Renault 2006, and going to back off this time as well. So not confident in himself at all, is probably going to be looking to go for some fresher tyres. Lou though going into P3 with a 109.2, some very good times being set from these guys, and really shaking up the grid order when it comes to qualifying, because Lou very good time in the Ferrari. JFC Burrito as well, very close, every little tiny tenth. So quickly going to get Mitch in just to talk to him about something, because yeah, well, we need to find out what happened on that incident, because that was incredible. Zandvoort has actually now been given a 5th-place grid penalty, so didn't show me that late, but has now for some strange reason. And here he is, the man who was only just trying to set a lap time and just went straight into the back of a Ferrari.
Wow, that was an eventful qualifying session for me, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I think the Ferrari got a bit confused and didn't realise I was coming on a hot lap, so
Just went
yeah, I find
straight
myself
into the
back in the
back of
pits waiting for the next 6 minutes until I can actually get out there and start from last.
Well,
It's not what you want at a track that you can't really overtake on.
no, not at all. But at least you're out of the way, I suppose. I've got the free choice of strategy. There's a couple of positives to take, I suppose you could say. But yeah, I'm sure the Ferrari's rear diffuser did not taste very nice at all.
No, I didn't. I've got a whole lot of gearbox and not a lot of wing left to show for it. So I have, while I've been back in the garage of the mechanics side, they have told me that we might be expecting a bit of rain towards the end of the race, so it could help me out with strategy.
So
Might stick on the hards at the start.
Very nice insight from Mitch then. So maybe some rain towards the end could spice it up a little bit, but will the hards make it to the rain?
Who knows? I can't see me doing very well here. It's not my favourite track anyway, so I'm starting in the worst possible place. Nowhere to overtake, so
just send it into Tarzan back.
C'est la vie.
Be fine. Yeah, nah, just keep it tight. S'il vous plaît would be lovely. Yeah. But yeah, very, very close qualifying session, regardless of whether or not you're in it. I mean, I'm sure you'd have spiced it up, setting pole by about 4/10, but...
Well, I was actually aiming for a 101. That's really? The lap that I was on when I crashed into the back of the Ferrari. I was that far under the delta, so...
It's a shame that, isn't it? Really is a big shame.
I better go and strap myself back in the car and get my helmet on. So
better do, yeah. It's only a couple of minutes until the race, so you best go off.
If I make it to the end, I'll see you then. If I don't, then I'll hop back in.
I'll definitely bring flowers to your funeral if you don't make it. But have a good time.
Appreciate it.
Have a good race, man. So that was Mitch, the man who is going to be from the back of the grid in the race, just giving us a nice little bit of insight as to what happened there. His crash with Zandvoort did not go well at all. He was setting up a very good lap, a 101. You heard him say. I mean, whether that's true or not, we'll leave that down for you to decide. But yeah, very, very, very strange stuff. Here is Jim setting up probably one of his final laps of the qualifying session. Taylor's a couple of tenths in front of him. Let's see what he can do. Coming towards turn 1, looking for the 50, braking just at it. Really got to send it into tyres and back. Use the camber through turn 1 and through turn 2. Just chuck it through turn 3. He's going to get a little bit of turbulent air from SC Collider, who's hopefully going to move out of the way from him. Carry the minimum speed through the banked turn 4 and then down the hill and then straight back up the hill through turn 6, 7 and then into 8. Really just got to chuck it through. Revs out 7th gear, chucks it down to 6th. Lou also on a lap. Is he up? Yes, he is. He's purple to the first sector and 3/100ths of a second up. Coming through down towards turn 10 makes it a lot much better than his previous lap time. And then coming towards turn 11. Again, just got to keep it nice and tight without touching that inside curb. DRS open, might be picking up a tiny bit of a tow from the car in front, but probably not too much. Braking at the start of the curb and really got to jump over that inside curve for turn 12. Get as close as you can for turn 13, then roll it back out to the outside and then bring it back to the left for the penultimate corner of turn 14. Again, don't want to touch that inside curb. You can see Jim just does it a little bit. We didn't quite see his delta. Through sector 2, he's going to get a nice bit of tow from Hatton in front and maybe get another lap in. Is it going to be provisional pole? It's just going to be off a 108.860 and Taylor is on a 108.816, so only a half a tenth between them. Than that, a 0.54 of a second, or 4.42 I should say. What's Taylor going to do? He is half a tenth up, has increased his lead so far. Very nicely taken through sector 1 I should say, and then onto the exit and into turn 11. What is Lou doing as well in the Ferrari through a bucket load of understeer there? That's not going to help him at all. Steve Vento as well was on a pretty decent lap. We'll have to see what he can do, but the checker flag is going to be waved, so no new laps now until Or, well, no new laps at all. The checker flag has been waved. JFC Burrito is going to stay 4th. Ashfitz is going to stay 6th. Joao going to stay 7th. That's Hawkeye spun round at the banking, going to bring out some yellow flags. What is Taylor going to do? Is it going to be an improvement on his previous pole time? Yes, it is. It's going to be a 108.774. Very nicely done. Doesn't look like Jim is going to be able to challenge him. Moving out the way nicely for SC Collider. Lou's going to back off as well. So it looks as though this is going to be it for the grid. Stay Vento goes into P4 with his lap, a 109.3. Very nicely done to propel himself on to the second row, just bumping down JFC Burrito and Ratho in a very, very good position in P11. And Wumax has done a 1 minute 10 dead. So he's done a 1 minute 10.000. Probably the most satisfying lap time you can ever see. And apologies for any coughs. Again, as I said, PE was not very nice today, running in the cold. It's absolutely horrible. So after a very, very tight and close qualifying session, Taylor takes pole ahead of Jim. They're going to be locking out the front row with Lou right behind him, 3/10 back on a 109.1. Steve Vento locks out the second row with JFC in P5, Ashfitz in P6, Joao in P7, Denmark P8, Wumax P9, Paul Harrison in P10, Ratho P11, Pressing Mixer in P12, Hatton P13, Ryan in P14, Hawkeye in 15th, and SC Collider in 16th. You're joining the stream just in time for the race, guys. Qualifying has just ended, and you're seeing the grid being talked through. SYG Ghost in P17, Shankly in P18, Sanchez in 19th, and Mitch, the only one not to set a time, but Ghost and Paul Harrison both with 5 place grid penalties, which is not going to help their stay at all in this Grand Prix. But welcome nonetheless to the stream, guys. Hope you do enjoy. Do make sure to leave a like if you do, and support the OBF1 League, a great league when it comes to some nice casual action. Sweeney has Corona. Don't know who Sweeney is actually. You spelled my name wrong. But you should get more drivers in for a little interview if they retire or something. Yeah, it definitely would help. It could be something we look for the future. Of course, the logistics aren't the best, but it is a bit of a nightmare trying to get people in. But we'll have to see what we can do for the future. Of course, guys, do make sure to like. But fingers crossed, we're gonna get into the race pretty soon. As soon as everyone loads in. But it was a very close qualifying session. Taylor only took pole by like less than a tenth. I believe it was 8/100ths of a second, pretty much a blink of an eye when you think about it. So almost identical lap times, but when it comes to Formula 1, a very exaggerated difference between the two. But we're now just going to be starting the formation lap then, and Taylor's going to lead us round. So let's have a quick look at the tyre situation for everyone. So Mitch has strapped on the hard compound tyres just as he said he would. He's going to be looking to stretch it out maybe if there's some rain towards the end of the race, maybe on the lap 20 mark, who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But other than that, it seems as though only a couple of people have actually gone for the alternate strategy of the mediums. Only 3 drivers and 4 drivers in total going for an alternate strategy. So the majority of the people on the soft tyres, the Red Wall soft tyre, of course the fastest tyre when it comes to 1 lap pace, but it does degrade incredibly quickly, a much substantial rate than the other 2 compounds of tyres. A lot softer rubber, easier to warm up, but they do degrade a lot quicker. So be sure to see these guys pitting in very soon. Probably around the lap 8 or 9 mark. Maybe we did see a couple of people, myself and Mitch, on Friday going for around about 12 laps on the softs. Actually, they don't last too bad. They don't do too bad around Zandvoort, but you can see Taylor weaving around like a snake, just warming up the tyres a little bit, getting some heat into them. Of course, the heat does help. Predictive pit stop strategy then, soft to hard or soft medium F1 insights, of course, powered by AWS. Of course, not the most accurate when it comes to some graphics, but hopefully the predictive pit stop strategy gives us a nice little insight. Soft to hard or a soft medium strategy, which one will prevail? I would definitely probably go for the first, because it is nice to have the track position. Of course, a two-stop does make you compromise a little bit, unless you can pull the gap early in the middle stint, and then you don't lose as much when you come into the second stint. But you can see, or I should say the third stint, sorry. But you can see them all lining up then. Final little burnouts to get the rear tyres warmed up. It's a very short run towards turn 1. You can already see the braking boards, so it's crucial to get a good initial launch down towards turn 1, which I believe is tyres and backed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch. He is the one that knows. So this is it now. The adrenaline's pumping. Everyone's getting ready to race. 36 laps ahead of us, and we go to 5 red lights. The green flag has been waved. Just waiting for them to illuminate your screens, and hopefully all goes well off the start. You can see now the 5 red lights are coming on. Then we're getting ready to go racing here for the Wednesday Night Racing League, being held for ages. We are underway. It's a pretty good start from the pole sitter, who gets away well ahead of Jim, who's already going to pull alongside him and run side by side down towards turn 1. He's going to claim the corner, but the Red Bull on the outside very nicely going to hold that. Everyone else trying to funnel their way through. They're still going to be side by side. A safety car has already been dispatched in this race. How has that happened? What has happened further back? There's been a massive bit of carnage. I believe Rumax has fallen down the order just a little bit too much. We'll have a quick look at the position changes. Denmark has fallen back 10. Stay Juventus has fallen back 10. A couple of people up almost 12 positions. No way is that Mitch up already into P7. No, of course it's not. It's a timing glitch, I was going to say. But a lot of drastic position changes. It looks as though there's some people on the track with a big chunk of wing damage. One of which maybe being the Renault of Wimax, but a safety car already been brought out, so you can see no overtaking, full course yellow. There's been a massive incident on the circuit, so well, hopefully this gives the timing a little while to just sort itself out. So who's going to come into the pits? Doesn't look like anyone's going to come into the pits. Actually, Taylor's falling down the order. I believe it's just a timing glitch. He's not actually falling down the order. He's still leading the race. Who is going to decide to come into the pits? Stay Juventus is going to be one to come to the pits. Serve a 5-second time penalty, as well as Hawkpie, who's going to pick himself up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Something you do often see Hawkpie do. He doesn't seem to be too very liked by the pit lane. As soon as the timing glitch sorts itself out, we can have a quick look at where people are on track. It looks like JFC Burrito is, or JFC Burrito, not Burrito, is currently in P5 with XD Little Jim currently in second. Did give Taylor a run for his money. They were going to run side by side through turn 3, but the safety car was dispatched, so hopefully Jim can give him a bit more of a race down towards turn 1. And it looks as though we have now got the timing glitch sorted, so we can have a quick look at how the positions have changed. Who has had the most drastic change? It looks as though Steve Vento and Presimiso have both fallen down quite a lot of positions, as well as Rumax down 8. But Mitch is up 5, SYG Ghost is up 7. The 2 Alpha Towers looking very quick in this Grand Prix. Shankly up 6, Paul Harrison up 5, and Ashford's up 4. So great starts from these guys. Can they carry the momentum forward? We'll just have to wait and see. Currently on lap 2 of 36. No DRS until 3 laps after the safety car. We're going to be under the safety car probably for around about 1 more lap, I reckon. Yeah, that should give them enough time to catch up. So again, just need to be weaving around, make sure those tyres are within the nice, probably around an 85-degree temperature window. Don't want these soft tyres too hot, otherwise they just slide around and there's no grip at all. Need a nice median. So yeah, Kieran Rees struggles to make it to the end of quali, probably won't last the full 18 minutes. Well, if possible, we'll definitely get you in, but yeah. So the safety car going to be leading us around for another half lap or so, unless Womack can, well, might have a bit of an incident that prevents it from coming out. But it looks as though he's driven up to the back, so safety car will be in this lap, as race control have just confirmed. Safety car win this lap, so we're going to get back onto green flag racing very, very shortly, with Ashfitz and Joao already eager to race, so they're going to be swapping positions a little bit. Looks as though Ashfitz just going to back off and give him that position, but now Taylor can become the effective safety car. He backs the pack up, can control it. You can see driving probably slower than Negrani does on the A47, around about the 50-mile-an-hour mark, just weaving around, making sure his tyres are good, letting the safety car get far enough away, and he can punch it between now and the timeline as soon as the safety car light goes off. When is he going to punch at the safety cars into the pits now, so he can decide when to do it? He's gone now. He can't stop. He's committed. We're back to green flag racing. The next little Jim needs to get a good start as well. He didn't quite have the pace in qualifying, but we're back under green flag racing. The Ferrari of Ashfitz looking to get down the inside. There's Joao and JFC Burrito going side by side into turn 1 for the battle for P4. The Ferrari of Ashfitz looking to get involved, but he's being mugged by Denmark around the outside. Very nice bit of carnage between the midfield guys, and it doesn't look like Jim's quite going to be able to fight Taylor as it stands, but maybe later on into the stint we'll have a look. Lou is definitely up there as well, giving him a run for his money. 3 laps time we'll have the DRS, the drag reduction system, Hatton on the back of his teammate. These guys in a little very much conga line-esque as he gets sending it around the outside. What an incredible move if Hatton can pull this off. He's still going to run side by side with his teammate, put his foot down around the outside. So close to it, and a sensational move there, it seems. Yellow flags through sector 1 and 2. It looks as though Stay has had, or Ryan has actually had a bit of an off, but Taylor controlling the race at the front as it stands. 4/10 clear of Jim off the first lap. Jim not being caught off too much, but didn't get the most ideal restart. Just needs to stay with him until the DRS gets enabled. That was probably his best chance to get him, and he just needed a good restart. But Stay working his way back up. He did make a pit stop during the safety car and probably was the only one to do so, but Jim and Taylor's priority now is to not let anyone else get close to them. They want to be a 2-horse race at the front. Taylor goes fastest, and Lou is just going to fall out of that 1 second range. 2 more laps until the DRS gets enabled. Yellow flags through sector 3 again. It looks as though there's been an incident off the banking. Yellow flags again. Is that Hawk Pie or Sanchez or someone of the sort? SYG going backwards a little bit as well. Got a lot of battle going on, but not quite a lot to warrant going off the fight for the race lead unless something completely drastic happens. But we'll go on board with Mitch, the man who started from last place, currently sits in P12 as Hawkpie picks himself up another 5-second penalty. Paul Harrison on the back of Rafa still. His teammate has fallen off a little bit after pulling off a very ballsy move around the outside of turn 9. Not something you often see. Towards turn 11. Still close between Jim and Taylor. DRS is going to be enabled by the next lap, if I am correct. Yeah, yellow flash through sector 2. It looks as though Womack has had an off. Big bottle lids open for these guys, it seems. Not having the most optimal races at all. Chucking it through into turn 15, Paul Harrison just getting a bit too swamped over the curb. DRS has been enabled, the drag reduction system, so when you're within 1 second of the car in front, the rear wing flap opens to give you less drag and more straight line speed, which really does help when if you're traveling at 200 miles an hour. It really closes it down. All Jim has to do is stay within that range of Taylor. All Taylor has to do is try and break out of it, but Jim has used up a lot more of his energy recovery system. Of course, the energy recovery system is when they brake, the heat energy that gets transferred from the brakes is used to charge a battery which powers a motor to give him an extra 140 brake horsepower. For reference, your road car is probably around about the 70 mark. Double your road car extra in Formula 1 cars, and it makes all the difference. Set yellow flags to set the 1 and 2. It looks as though Hatton's had a bit of an off coming off turn 10 going into turn 10, I should say. He's now got the Renault for company. Having a little look on the mini-map, Mitch GK is also onto the back of SC Collider. He's going to have the DRS down towards turn 12. He's got the run. He should be ahead into the corner. Very nicely done from the AlphaTauri. Very opportunistic move to get himself back up, and Hatton falling down the order as well. Ryan on the back of Shankly. Is he going to go for it? We're going to have to cut back to the fight for the lead. He is closing. Jim's going to look, but he isn't quite going to be able to go for it on this particular occasion. Looking to do me proud and win this race. We'll have to see what he can do. He's got a very worthy adversary of Taylor, who took pole, now defending his race lead. Can Jim do anything about it? 2-horse race at the front, 2.5 seconds clear of Lou, who's slowly chipping away but can't quite stick with him at the moment. Maybe towards the later stages of the race, maybe if there is that rain that Mitch did forecast about. But here is Jim then coming towards turn 9, a little bit slow into the first sector. He will have the assistance of DRS, and now he has got the DRS. He should be okay to start saving a little bit of energy recovery system, or I should say a little bit of energy as he comes off turn 11 and in the DRS. Probably just a little bit to allow him to stay with him without having to utilise too much ERS. Stay getting himself past SC Collider, who's going a little bit backwards. Mitch now within the points as well. Paul Harrison closing on to Rafo Ashwitz on the back of Denmark. These guys having a little bit of a battle for P5. Here is Jim though. He needs a good exit off turn 14 to give him the momentum through turn 15. Taylor not quite going to be using his overtake button, but he's got DRS enabled. He is closing, but he hasn't quite got enough to close with him, so he's just going to stick behind for the time being. Denmark putting the pressure onto JFC, who is weaving all over the place, trying to break the slipstream. Paul Harrison closing on Ratho. He's got a lot of overspeed, but isn't quite going to be able to make the move stick. Anything else happening further down the field? It looks as though there's been a big field spread. So the closest fight at the moment is going to be Jim versus Taylor at the front. Lou 3 seconds behind. He's got Joao now closing after him in the Alfa Romeo. Chucking it through 4th gear. DRS enabled again just to try and help stick it with him. Not really an overtaking opportunity down towards turn 12. Into turn 14 then, just needs to stay close. He's got a little bit more ERS. He's going to start using it, burning off the energy. DRS open. Has he got the run he needs? He's going to be in the slipstream. He is going to be closing a lot quicker than the man in front of him, but again it isn't going to be enough. Hawkpie retires from the session in the pit lane, so decided to pack his bags, and enough is enough. So going to be starting from well, not starting, but going to be finishing last place in this Grand Prix. Going to be classified as last, so hopefully Friday goes a little bit better for him. H. Taylor going a little bit too deep, Jim going a little bit too tight. Two extremes, both haven't paid off for him, but Jim just got a bit of a better exit, and up the hill he's going to be closing. Can't quite do much for that closing speed though as they come towards turn 9. And then into turn a little bit slower to sector 1, but some very consistent lap times from these two at the front. We've got Ashwitz on the back of JFC, who's now closing onto the back of Denmark. The fight for P5 between these guys. 3-car battle going on here. This is a very nice little midfield battle going on. Raffo 5.5 seconds back on the medium tyre. 5 tenths separates the two leaders. Can these guys do anything? Ashwitz probably in the worst place of the bunch. JFC closing on Denmark, but again can't quite do much. That is pretty much the story around Zandvoort. Has Jim got on a good enough exit to close on Taylor? Just needs to maybe bite the bullet and use a little bit more ERS if he wants to close the gap. He is closing, but he's not quite doing enough. Lap 10 to 36 down towards turn 1 for the 10th time. Here comes Ashwitz. He's closing and closing on JFC. He's going to pull to the inside. The Ferrari versus the McLaren. Very close to contact. Is the McLaren going to go back underneath him? He's going to try. He's going to get the power down. They are going to run side by side. But is the McLaren going to have to concede? Yes, he is. Nice little show of fighting spirit from the McLaren, but just got squeezed out on that particular occasion and couldn't quite convert, unfortunately. But Jim on the back of Taylor still. These guys just running in tangent at the front. 2-horse race. as usually is, and it is usually the other way around, but Taylor doing a very good job of controlling this race. Paul Harrison on the back of Ratho isn't quite quick enough to get through, despite him being on the medium tyre, going to run very wide. Right, with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Don't be too shocked if we see some more of those yellow flags through sector 3. He has retired from the session, so another one to have just packed his bags and left. Who knows though, there could have been a safety car, they could have been saved. But unfortunately, don't want to waste their time, which is completely and utterly understandable. If they're not on the pace, they are not on the pace. Mitch slowly getting his way onto the back of Paul Harrison, just going to be with the DRS out, so you're going to be able to propel himself forward and latch onto the back of Paul Harrison, and then Raffo a couple of minutes or a couple of tenths up in front. Through turn 3 into 4 then. Really got to ride the brakes, bring it back round, hook it back up the hill. Jim has fallen off a little bit. Only driven one race here and can't get to grips with the circuit. It is a very difficult circuit to get to grips to. Not the kindest of circuits, to say the least. Mitch still on the back of these guys. Jim falling a little bit off Taylor, so Taylor spreading his wings a little bit, trying to fly away, and he is going to come into the pits, going to try and dummy Jim to the pits, but Jim going proactive. He's going for the proactive strategy, putting himself into the pits, going to go for the one stops, get those fresh hards on and see if he can be quicker. Just doesn't want to come out into traffic. Joao goes past, Lou's going to go past, is Denmark going to go past as well. The last thing Jim wants is to come out into traffic, and that's probably what Taylor was just stretching his legs a little bit further for. That was to try and minimise the risk of coming out in traffic, but Jim's got some nice clean fresh air to push and warm those tyres up, get them turned on, get them working quickly. And he's going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and close the gap with the undercut, the proactive strategy. And while Taylor's stuck out there on 11 lap old hards, Jim is enjoying some fresh hard compound tyres, which in theory should be a little bit quicker, but we'll have to see what the pace is like. Taylor, of course, is going to be trying to fly with his ERS. He's used a little bit, but banking a lot of it up. He really hasn't used much and really conserving it well, despite having such incredible pace. And he's going to now come into the pit lane, send it in, does not want to speed. Is he going to speed? Just manages to not speed. That was very, very fine lines, though, to say the least. In comes the Ferrari of Auschwitz as well. So here comes Taylor coming out. There's the Mercedes. It's going to be very close. He's a lot closer, but he just gets the jump. But is that Taylor on medium tyres? Yes, indeed it is. So Taylor's going to be going for a two-stop strategy maybe. So Jim does not need to worry as much at all. He's running very low on fuel. Been running in a much higher engine mode to try and stay with him. And he's going to have to save some fuel. But Taylor's on medium tyres. Will they go to the end? That is a very, very interesting question, an interesting strategy choice from the man in P2. Very, very strange, and they're both closing onto the back of Denmark, who currently leads this race. Probably a shock to him, his nose is bleeding being this high. DRS wide open, just about going to stick with the DRS, but Taylor with those fresher medium tyres, the yellow medium tyres, going to be they are the middle ground between the soft and hard, so a little bit quicker than the hards, a little bit slower than the softs, and he will start to pull away a little bit, but will have to stop again, and Jim on those hards shouldn't have to. So Taylor's saving grace is going to be a safety car that propels him forward and manages to keep those keep him on some fresher tyres and keep him ahead of Jim, because Jim hasn't actually managed to overtake him just yet in this race. So we can cut away. Here goes Mitch on the side of the McLaren, finally being set up. The McLaren tries to go around the other side, but Mitch's going to claim the corner and take it away from him. So that's him up into I actually don't know where that puts him, because those hard tyres could go a while and he's going to be very quick on them for a very long time. So Mitchell in a very good position. He's got the pace and he's really flying through, so who knows what Mitch can do. Carl Hawkins involved in lap 1 incident which caused the safety car, had to pit for a new wing, then clashed with Chances straight after the safety car, which caused me wing damage, and then I spun a few corners later. Mitch has left the session. What has happened to Mitch? No, just as I was talking about how well he was doing, commentators curse. I'm so sorry, Mitch. But now his AI is going to be taking control and going to be driving at a much lower pace, and he's going to be plummeting down the order. Ratho's going to get past. They're going to scare the AI. Stay's going to get through. His teammate Joao is going to be looking to get through. H. Taylor with a fastest lap of 1:11.7 on the medium tyres. Lap 15 of 36, approaching the halfway mark. Very, very strange as to what's happened with Mitch. He's going to be plummeting down the order, but nice little battle going on here for P4. Ratho closing onto the back of Stay, maybe? No, it looks as though Stay's gotten past and is looking to stay past. DRS open for Joao. He's going to be closing. He's going to have the closing speed. Ratho a little bit under pressure. Is Joao going to send it? No. Going to think better of it. The Ferrari getting a little bit unnerved as well by Joao moving and moving again under braking, but just going to miss him. And Lou with some of the fresh hard tyres as well, going to be looking to get past these two. Joao has managed to jump him as well, but Joao then he's going to soar past the McLaren. Yeah, very easy move for him to do there. Gets himself up in front. Is Lou going to go for the move as well? He's going to send it up the inside. The McLaren is scared. Lou knew he needed to make that move. He sent it up the inside there. Got it stopped. Very nicely done from the Ferrari to keep it with Joao. Just needs to stay within the DRS zone now. And Hatton and Mr. Sanchez are having a little bit of a battle. It seems Hatton around the outside of turn 12. Very nicely done. So Mitch, yeah, he's confused as to what's happened himself. Denmark on the back of Ratho. Looking to go around the outside. 12, very bold move to make the McLaren on the inside, the Racing Point on the outside. Nice move from Denmark, just around the outside, doesn't give a care in the world, and that is going to be Ashford's as well, getting himself past. So Ratho very much going backwards. Ashford's took the opportunity. I'm taking this, I'm going for you. The Racing Point's got you, no reason why I can't, and a very nice move for him there, Ratho. Now down to P8, Mitch going to be losing another place to JFC Burrito. Actually, it looks as though his car's unghosted, so he's back in and driving as fast as he can, but he's lost a lot of time. He needs to now make up. It is rather unfortunate, and I do apologise. I'm incredibly tired from school and whatnot. It's very, very tiring stuff, but nonetheless, we've got a race on our hands. I need to spice myself up now, approaching the halfway mark of lap 18 out of 36. Taylor now opened up, and there's a virtual safety car because Pressing Mixer has retired from the session. It looks going into turn 4. He may have just lost the rear end. We'll go on board with Paul Harrison and see if he can see anything of the sort. Is that maybe a Red Bull going past, or SC, anyone going through turn 4? We'll go on board with Paul Harrison because maybe he has more of an insight. Very weird place to lose it. Must have just lost the rear end, and going into turn 4 just very strange. And he has left the session before it goes green, so has that maybe caused a glitch? Hopefully not, because that happened a couple of minutes, well, a couple of days ago with myself and Mitch at Bahrain Short as Sanchez receives himself a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So the virtual safety car, they have to adhere to 40% race speed. But here we go, back under green flag racing, and DRS has been re-enabled as everyone tries to funnel their way through. JFC on the back of Mitch, trying to propel himself forward up the grid. Through into turn 14. And into 15. Is he going to go for the move? He's activated overtake to push the button to give him probably an extra 20 miles an hour. Mitch slightly defensive, is going to go defensive. Here goes the McLaren, trying to go around the outside with some fresher tyres. But is the AlphaTauri just going to claim the corner? The McLaren keeps his foot and goes over the gravel. Going to have to concede. The AlphaTauri very nicely manages to hold on to that position there. JFC has to stick behind, hasn't quite got the momentum to push forward, and Mitch on the back of Raffo does not want to be losing a place when he's trying to gain one. Certainly would be less than ideal for him. So there is now doom and gloom over the skies of Zandvoort. Could this be why Taylor has got onto those medium tyres as opposed to Jim going for the hards? So open up the cap now, the rain is coming. I mean, it is very overcast, maybe the rain won't be severe enough and Jim could still be here. Here goes Mitch on Raffo, darts to the inside as Raffo parks it in the middle. Has to makes Mitch go very deep, and that is going to allow him to swoop around the outside. They're still going to be side by side heading towards turn 3. The AlphaTauri on the inside going to claim it, but the McLaren going to stick it to the inside and stick it to the inside. The other McLaren trying to fight his way through, but Mitch carries the speed with the camera on the outside. Very nicely done, and that is going to be Raffo compromised, and he's going to lose the position to his teammate as well. But those skies are looking absolutely deadly and very overcast, and we could see some rain very shortly, and that would explain Taylor and his medium strategy, and Mitch would be in a very good position as well if the rain does come now. Coming down towards turn 12 is Mitch, then 4 seconds off the next car, but could be very much levelled when it comes to the rain if it does come. Probably expect to see the next raindrops probably in the next couple of minutes or so. Here is Steve Vento getting himself past Raffo trying to look on the outside. But Steve's just going to claim the corner once again. Get himself up the inside, no questions asked. Ashford's on the back of Denmark now on fresh hard tyres, but Denmark's on the fresh mediums. Denmark has shown some nice pace, but Ashford's has shown some even better pace. Close up onto the back of the man in the racing point. Is it a matter of when? Is it a matter of if the rain comes? Lou on the back of Joao as well. The fight for the podium going on here. Ferrari versus Alpha. He's really closed up. Has he got the run on Joao? He's got DRS open. He's using the DRS. He is closing, but is he closing enough? Joao has the DRS, the ERS to defend with. Very close under braking. Lou does have the pace. Someone random has completely joined, but he wouldn't be able to get into the race and compromise it any further. Raffo goes up as Burrito, interestingly, comes into the pit lane for some medium tyres. Very, very strange choice of strategy there. He might have picked up some wing damage and had to force himself to pit, perhaps. And that would explain it, but Lou's still on the back of Joao. Closest fight and a very important fight for the podium place. Taylor up in front, 7.5 seconds clear of Jim, who maybe forgot to take a look at the weather forecast, but if it doesn't rain, he's in a very good position. So 50-50 when it comes to the strategy, but these clouds looking very dangerous overhead. DRS enabled, but Lou not being able to conserve ERS enough. Towards turn 14 into 15, completely flat again, just needs a good run, but he's fallen back a little bit, might have got a little bit sideways. But it is getting a very, very dark overhead. These drivers will be looking up thinking they're scared, or getting very scared. Lou now in the DRS. Gonna get up and rolling. Flags. I believe that's for a car. A couple of seconds up in front. Astrid's on the back of Denmark as well. The 5v5. These guys having a nice little ding dong battle. Hasn't quite been able to get close enough yet. Just needs a good run off turn 14. That's exactly what he's got. A lot better than the last couple of attempts. DRS open. And overtake, he is closing, but Joao again has the DRS and, well, the ERS to defend with, I should say, but some very consistent lap times from Lou. Goes very, very deep under braking, really going to close up to the Alfa Romeo, looks to the outside, but can't quite keep the power pinned enough. But already been 10 laps since these guys have pit. We're on to lap 24 of 36. And Shankly has left the session, so they're currently running P6, left the session. And now the first few raindrops are now coming in. You can see on the halo, first raindrops coming, and Lou has been fallen victim for a Tokyo drift across the track. He's going to have to stop. He's going to reset the track. Almost comes to contact with Astrid, who's now got himself past Denmark. Started falling. This is now very, very interchangeable conditions where the faster guys are going to be noticeable, and Rafa on some fresh softs could be very quick as those tyres are going to be nicely to warm up. Down the inside of Winmax has a little look. Grip is changing every single corner. It's getting wetter, and well, you do not know where the grip is at all. You really have to try and find your feet. Not yet at all wet enough for intermediates, but the rain is coming down, and it is coming down hard. It's not like a little couple of spits. It is coming down very, very hard. We could see some heavy rain maybe towards the end of the race. 12 laps of this race remaining. Stay on the back of Mitch, looking for the outside, using the karting line. Of course, no rubber out there, so there's going to be a little bit more grip, especially on slicks. Is that prevalent in Codemasters Formula 1 games? Yeah, the flash through sector 3. Someone's been, well, has fallen victim to the rain. When are we going to see the crossover point between intermediates and the slicks? Probably very soon, I would imagine. And here goes Stay. He's going to look to the inside, very nicely set up move around the outside. Can Mitch keep it? Bit of contact. He's going to have to turn out of that one, and he's going to lose the place. And Stay's going to keep the DRS as well. So once he gets too wet, race control will of course turn DRS off, because very stupid going into a corner with no rear wing when it's, you know, pouring down the rain, especially when you're behind someone. But Jim has he's gone for the inters already into the pit lane, and a lot of people now deciding it's time for intermediates. DRS hasn't been disabled. That is when I would usually say to come into the pits, but a couple of people biting the bullet a little bit earlier, maybe trying to go for the undercut. If it gets too wet on this lap, DRS gets enabled and is halfway around on the lap. does just come down to perfection and timing, but we'll see what Jim can do on these inters compared to Taylor on the slicks. He is losing a little bit of time, so it isn't actually optimal, but he's on them early, so when it does happen, he will be on them to gain time, and he will gain a lot more time than potentially he will lose. Just depends on that crossover point. I believe that message was that DRS has been disabled. Hopefully someone can confirm that for us when they're in the DRS zone. Yeah, I think so. I think he's not going to pick up DRS, and Jim is now starting to close on Taylor, who's now into the pit lane and picks himself up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's something he cannot now get rid of. He's stuck with 5 seconds, and now Jim's going to be rubbing and licking his lips as he comes to lap a couple of back markers. Oh, but that is stay into the wall. Very, very close to disaster there. He's still on the medium. He's stuck out there. So is Lou, and these intermediate tyre a lot quicker. Lou now into the bloody wall nearly as well. So close to absolute misery. He's just going to pull over and let them through. He's timed this completely wrong. Where's Jim in comparison to Taylor, who's already 8 seconds up the road? Just needs to close up a little bit more. Sanchez has retired from the session. A safety car could really spice things up as Lou now comes into the pits, and now everyone pretty much on the inters. Everyone's onto the intermediates apart from Stay, who's now coming into the pits anyway, so very much that inters are quicker. Denmark on the back of Ashwitz. The fight for the podium still on. Very, very difficult to overtake when it comes to the rain, though. You really have to pick your moments because the grip is on one very specific line. So Denmark still putting the pressure on Ashwitz. Very, very nice to see the race back at him. Is to keep it consistent though. Those intermediate tyres will give him a lot of grip, but not a lot, and you can see the visibility behind the spray kicking up as those intermediate treads kick up a lot of water. Probably around about 30 litres a second, I would say, with those treads. They're not quite onto the extent of full wet tyres, but they still have quite a significant grip in the wet. Oh, very close to disaster there, but he's got overtake, and Ashford's just going to get the pull off the corner that he needs to stay in front, so Denmark not quite going to be able to do anything, but has shown some confidence in the wet. Taylor as well with some confidence in the wet, slowly chipping away from Jim. May cost him a mistake as Ashford goes very deep into that corner of turn 3. That's going to allow Denmark to soar back up the inside. Very nicely done, but a little bit squirmy off turn 4. Ashford went a little bit deep through there and just couldn't bring it back in time. Just went wide, went a little bit offline, and it does punish you in the rain. When you do that, it does not help your cause at all. Nothing else really to report on when it comes to on-track action. It's just the fact that it's slowly getting wetter. Maybe could see some heavy rain, who knows. If it gets a little bit too worse, you can see Lou squirming around. I believe that's a couple of crowd breaks actually. There's some sunshine coming up. Could it have just been a short spell of rain and back onto the slicks maybe? Would be very interesting, but I mean there's definitely some sunshine out there that will slowly dry up the track. Oh, nearly sideways for Lou there. That was extremely close to disaster. Really flirting with disaster. Closing the gap, 8/10. It was a second at the start of the lap. We got SC Collider and Hatton further back, having been a little close on track, but not having the confidence to take it to each other. SC Collider have lost about a second during that one mistake, and Sanchez is going to leave the session. coming through into penultimate corner then. Just a little bit spread out and can't quite close up in the rain. That is something you often see. People being a little bit quicker but can't quite close up or risk making a mistake behind the car in front. Denmark just lapping Paul Harrison in front. As we enter now the final 6th of the race, lap 30 of 36, only 6 laps remaining. SC Collider getting back at Hatton actually, he's clawing back some time. Called about that second, just needs to keep it consistent. Lou closing onto the back of Mitch as well. He finds himself in P5. Incredible stuff from Mitch. From the back of the grid to be up there in P5. The rain really has helped out and the strategy really has helped out as well. But he's going to be under pressure from Lou anytime soon. A little bit sideways. We're going back on board with the fight with Lou and Mitch GK. The AlphaTauri has shown some great pace throughout this Grand Prix. It's lap 31 of 36 and he's under pressure from the Ferrari. He's going to look to try and set up a cutback. Mitch a little bit shaky on the exit, but still all good. Could be a nice little battle circling, or well, heating up between these two. Yellow flag through sector 1. SC Collider has retired from the session, bounced back across the track. Could this be a safety car? There's going to be a virtual one, a VSC, so everyone having to abide to a 40% race speed delta and having to slow down a lot more than usual to clear the incident and get it sorted. But when will we go green? Because Mitch needs to maximise the safety car, needs to maximise his launch off the safety car, so does Lou. Building up the delta already so he can punch it when it starts to end, but just holding it around that 50% mark. Mitch gets a nice launch, but is it going to be the end of the VSC? You would imagine so. Hatton gets a drive-through penalty. Is that Lou getting one as well? No, but they both go green. They get an equal start, so equal pegging from when it was a minute ago, and Taylor flying away, even with the 5-second penalty, should be able to comfortably stay in front of Jim, as Ashford's also closing up onto the back of Denmark. But the closest battle at the moment is between these two. And these two, actually the fight for the podium is very much well and truly on. Lap 32 or 36 though, time is running out. They need to get these moves done as Steve Vento comes into the pit lane, maybe for a new front wing. And he really does close up there, but can't quite get the power on the exit. Stayer's gone for the full wet. Can't see it making up that much time as Mitch goes in a little bit deep. Lou very eager to get the power down and try and get himself going to really show his eagerness to get through. Just show his nose to Mitch and say, hey, you're not having this as easy as you like. I'm going to try and keep it away from you as you go on to lap 33. As Taylor crosses the line, he made a little bit of a mistake though, as Jim has closed up around about 1.5 seconds, as well as Ash has also made a little bit of a mistake. 1.3 seconds now is the gap between himself and Denmark. So as soon as they close up, they do seem to fall off a little bit, as Mitch has a run-in with the wall, so this is going to allow Lou to go to the outside. Should be pretty plain sailing move. Mitch tries to keep it on the inside. Is he going to send it? No, he's not. He's going to wait for Lou to maybe send it in a little bit deep, stay with him, maybe learn some new lines, learn some new breaking points, and improve himself. You always go quicker when you're behind someone in the wet. That is something that I've learned from myself. You can always find some more time, use them as a basis as to where the grip is. But try not to make any mistakes of your own. He should be able to stay with him. Only a couple laps left, and Lou has got a penalty of 5 seconds, so just needs to stay within the 5-second mark, and he's already up 13 positions. One more won't hurt, but it's a nice chunk of points as Lou's looking very much out of shape there. Did not hook that inside part up at all. Now on to lap 34 or 36, 3 laps left to go. And we've had quite a interesting race in terms of the positions on track and the rain and everything, but it's not been too exciting in terms of pure on-track action. So hopefully on Friday the boys can step it up and give us something to really start cheering about. Mitch just falling a little bit off the back of Lou. He just needs to stay with him for a few more laps. Some very, very big gaps. Taylor's already nearly halfway around the circuit. He's nearly lapping these guys. Incredible stuff from Taylor, who's just absolutely flying up in front. Just in the world of his own as he comes onto the penultimate lap. With a 5-second penalty, but it won't even matter because Jim is 9.5 seconds back. Two laps left to go though, anything can happen. And Jim giving it everything, but that hard strategy did cost him. Could have gotten onto those mediums, he may have been alright as Stay does retire, so we've lost another car from the race, another driver from the race. Where's Taylor? He's now coming through turn 11 or turn 10 into 11. But Jim has kept the gap good. He has shown some good pace, kept it around the 9.5 second mark. Taylor hasn't actually managed to pull his leg, so if Jim would have just been a little bit closer at the start, he may have been okay. Would have been a nice little close fight between two tyrants, but now on to the final lap of the race that Taylor has led from pole. Hasn't really actually lost the lead, led from start to finish, I believe, apart from a couple of laps where Denmark took the lead after the pit stops. But other than that, Taylor has the net lead, hasn't been overtaken. Jim put some pressure on but couldn't quite convert, and Taylor really holding his nerve very well. Played the middle strategy right, knew the rain was coming, so went for the mediums instead of the hards. And that was Jim's demise, because Taylor managed to open up the gap, get past people a little bit more efficiently when he needed to, and is very worthy of the race win that he should hopefully get, unless he makes a drastic mistake on this final lap. Don't want to jinx it though, because he's driven brilliantly. The only mistake he's made is going into the pit lane a little bit too fast, which has cost him 5 seconds, but Jim is 9 seconds back, so it wouldn't be affecting him too much. Through turn 12 and 13, then up towards 14 for the final time of 36. Here he comes through the final corner, through the banking, wants to take it as easy as he can. Here comes Taylor across the line from pole to flag. He takes the win but picks himself up. A 5-second penalty will not matter at all. A few minutes later, here will come Jim across the line. He'll finish a remarkable second, stays where he was, and Denmark is on to pick himself up a podium after starting from well, starting from 7th place, he finds himself on the podium. This rain really showcasing that anything can happen. But Mitch on the back of Lou maybe could be something, turning into something here, because these two aren't giving up just yet. Very close battle on track for P5. If Mitch wants a couple of extra points, he could find himself picking them up here. Now Denmark crosses the line. He finishes P3 with Ash. So close behind, finishing in P4 with Lou. A little bit closer behind, but doesn't look like... Actually, no, Mitch P5. Lou does have a penalty. So across the line, he's going to take it, but Mitch doesn't jump him. Strangely enough, did Mitch have a penalty of his own? I'm not entirely sure. But for some strange reason, Mitch didn't overtake Lou on the timing screens. And actually finished 3 seconds back. So that is a very, very strange turn of events. Maybe is it changed on here? No? Very, very strange as to what happened. Driver of the day goes to Mitch. I have to agree. Drove great from start to finish. Those hards were probably dead towards the end as the rain started to hit, but it really did pay off for him, and you can now see the race winner, the Red Bull driver of H. Taylor, coming to the podium. To very worthily drink some champagne. And now to talk through the grid order. Taylor takes the win ahead of Jim, and Denmark joins them on the podium in the Racing Point. A very good race from him. Ash in P4, Lou in P5, Mitch in P6, Ratho P7, Wemax P8, JFC in P9, and Paul Harrison in P10. Ghost P11, Hatton P12, Shankly P13, Stay in P14, SC Collider in P15, Joao in P16, Sanchez 17th, Preston Mixer 18th, Ryan 19th, and Hawkeye in 20th. A lot of DNFs from that Grand Prix. A couple of people still classified. 1 lap for Hatton, 2 laps for Shankly, 3 laps for Stay, as they were within a few laps of the leader. So still got classified, but did technically not finish. But nonetheless, guys, that has been it for the Wednesday night racing for these guys in OBF1. It was a pretty dull race, in all honesty. But definitely some good championship implications for Taylor, who takes a stride forwards, whether he is in the championship. That win and fastest lap giving him the maximum points possible, and pole, of course. What a better way to do it. Pole, win and fastest lap. They're pretty much grand slam, because there's no free practice sessions. So Taylor does take the win. And after all, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Zach, this has been OBF1, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.